Welcome to the Auburn Medical Group YouTube live stream, the entertaining medical live stream where viewers can ask real-time questions of real medical doctors. And here are our hosts, Dr. Mark Vaughn and Dr. Gwen Vaughn.
There we go. And it's time for Dr. Mark Vaughn and Dr. Gwen Vaughn to talk about medical topics on Auburn Medical Group live stream on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to the people who not only watch and are part of, and Mr. Ed.
Hey.
He kept just leaning a little bit more out of my peripheral vision. I can see. Oh yeah, we have an announcer. Here. Why am I doing all the announcing? You already did it on the preview.
There you go. You probably running at the same time. We're both talking at the same time. If you're running the intro.
I was talking over you. I was going to say Lindsay was here early, and autocorrect. What did autocorrect call it?
It says Linda Day.
Well, autocorrect calls you Linda Day. I don't know.
That's funny.
Talk to Google or Apple or whoever. Oh, wait. Teresia Rowatt. Hello. Oh, see, I'm doing his job again. Mr. Ed.
Everybody's saying hello.
Welcome.
Early, welcome. Debbie is saying hi. Lindsay says hi. Yeah, everybody says hi.
Excellent. Wow. Holly, you are really fast at putting all their names up there.
Look at that.
That's really good.
You all got your names.
Man, you must have had some Dutch brothers or something. Maybe with some extra speed.
One of those days.
So thank you for joining us. We will be talking about early detection.
Ooh.
We'll be talking about how we tell if something is not cancer or hot dog, apparently. So
not cancer or hot dog. Where'd you come up with that?
Are those the only two options?
Yeah, the Silicon Valley fans, they are on the floor, rolling on the floor, laughing right now. ROLF. Wait.
OFL? Rolling on the floor, laughing? Rolling on the laughing floor. See, that's what you just did.
It was that funny.
I'm rolling on the laughing floor.
So the early detection of disease. I assumed cancer when Mr. Ed suggested this topic at the end of the show last week, and actually it's not just cancer. It's other things too, and that's what Dr. Gwen focused on drgreenknight.com.
That's right. Yeah, and you should definitely go check that out. Is there a link? And you set it up. Hopefully.
There is a link. Yes,
there's a link
already.
But, a couple links in there that are very, very helpful, actually, to things we'll be talking about, like the USPSTF. But I decided to target a very specific organization and what they're doing.
It's a hit piece.
Pretty much. Yeah. So Lifeline Screening, maybe you've heard of them before.
Or maybe you're them because you were told.
Oh, you want to check this out.
This
Here's
YouTube
what doctors
video
actually
huge following
think of you.
Talks about you. You're welcome to watch.
Yeah, thanks for showing up.
We'll give you a piece of our mind.
Or if you're an organization, a nonprofit organization who hosts the Lifeline Screening
just
people.
down the road off of Richardson Drive. Do you know which place we're talking about?
We get these little notices in the mail all the time from these people.
Yeah, they send them.
And
yes, but
we never follow up.
Well,
we're going to talk about it.
We'll talk about why that's probably a good idea.
But do you know who's hosting it?
Uh-oh.
On Richardson Drive, across from the tennis courts?
In Auburn?
Do you know who that might be?
Yeah. No kidding. I think everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
So we'll be talking about that. Do you want to start off with, unless anybody on our chat from Mississippi has anything else to add? Go ahead and start.
Only those from Mississippi.
Only those from Mississippi. Do you want to start off with cancer, your blog post,
so many things to so many
or Lifeline
places to go? Well, let's talk about Lifeline because that kind of goes into all these other things, right? Because they have screening for everything.
Lifeline screening. We didn't put a link to them because
we don't want you going there.
Why?
And you'll quickly find out why we feel that way. So
okay. So this is also for Mr. Ed's benefit because he gets the flyers in the mail.
Yeah. So Lifeline screening.
But I don't know how to read, so it's okay.
Oh, okay, good.
But somebody in your house does. So
somebody's
his kids are getting
doing
the mail
it for you. They're sorting it for him.
Dad, you should
Sign
think
this
about
one.
this.
Did we say hello to Catherine?
No, I'm sorry. Is she from Mississippi?
Mississippi.
All right. Hi, Catherine from Mississippi. Thank you for joining us.
So, Lifeline screening, and you've probably heard of them before. So Lifeline screening is
I don't know if they have them in Mississippi.
I think they're all over the United States, actually. But they go to, it's kind of this, they don't have a brick and mortar place. It's a traveling group of people, not physicians, technicians, who I don't know the credentials of, but they go traveling place to place, essentially setting up.
They go on tour. I mean,
it's essentially going on tour.
They got black T-shirts that say Lifeline.
Probably
screening,
do, huh?
92
I've
tour,
never,
names of the cities on the back.
Yeah, they meet in high school gyms.
Yeah, high school gyms.
Yeah.
Churches are a common place where they show up. But they offer this screening, and they send out these flyers before they're coming to town, saying that, showing you all the benefits, telling all their wonderful stories of how they've caught things early and why you need to screen for certain diseases.
Testimonials.
Yeah, so I went to their website and I was just like, hey, I'm curious. Let's sign up. Let's not sign up, but I was like, I went through the process all the way until checking out. So I was like, oh, let's see. Like, click. What is recommended for me? A pretty healthy, I like to think I'm healthy, 40-year-old. So they said like these 5 tests. So we're with 5 tests. One was a carotid ultrasound.
For a 40-year-old.
This was their most popular test. They didn't ask me my age, so let's say that. So there was a little thing on top that said, these tests probably are going to be more beneficial if you're 50 or older. Anyways.
All right.
So, carotid ultrasound. Is that me?
I was just trying to turn the volume down.
It's down. DEXA of your shin bone, which is bone density screening.
Okay.
ABI.
Two things to talk about
Yeah. We'll come back to all these. ABI, which is ankle brachial index, to try to look for peripheral vascular disease, which is the blood pressure of your arm and leg, and comparing them. EKG to look for atrial fibrillation, and what's the last? Oh, and a AAA screening, which is abdominal aortic aneurysm.
Another
which is
ultrasound test.
Dilation, ultrasound of the aorta in your abdomen. Those were the 5 tests.
Aorta
That's,
should be like
their
this,
most popular.
not like this.
Yeah, not dilating. Not that big. That'd be bad. So that was the recommended and their most popular test. That's what it said on there. Our most popular. So package, yeah. They also have a bunch of other things. They have blood tests of pretty much everything you can imagine. Vitamin D screening, PSAs, blood counts,
Is it one of those where
A1Cs.
the more you buy, the more you save?
Probably. I didn't pile it all on, so I don't know. But it was $159, which is actually a deal apparently, because it said this is a deal from our normal $330. They almost got me there.
So tempting. How can you?
So those are the 5 tests.
If you do it every year, do you get another punch in your card? And
and then maybe every
free?
50 years free. Wouldn't that be great?
They're probably going to do it. That's such a good idea.
Even if I were, let's say you were to do this, I'm giving away your age that you're over 50, so that you would be one of their customers, quote unquote. Yep, I'm sorry, your secret's out there. Or you can go watch this colonoscopy video and know for yourself. So,
that's true. Because that was before the recommendations went down to 45.
That's right. Yeah.
Age 45.
So if you were to go on there, they'd recommend the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and you would be in their target audience of a 50 or older person.
And if Mr. Ed was older than 50.
And if Mr. Ed was older than
Boy, if
50,
I were.
then he would, if only.
One of these days.
So the question is this helpful? Should you get this done? Is this worth $160? It does.
Dr. Green,
and
it sounds
if
like
you,
a bargain.
If you look all over their website, you would be very easily convinced that this is a wonderful thing. Testimonials galore about people who have caught things early. Strangely, no testimonials about people being harmed by this. And that's the question. What is the harm? We'll talk about that.
Is there even an MD present?
So no MD present. No,
There is a name somewhere.
And if you read their
be a medical
frequently
director
asked
somewhere.
questions, which is just a wonderful read, I mean, for a doctor just going through it saying, that's a red flag. But it says that they have an MD who signs off on everything. So they have like a medical director who checks everything out. But it's no MDs on site.
I think he has something to read there.
Well, you guys read it. Lindsay says it. Come on, say it out loud.
No, we'll read that. Mr. Ed is eternally
youthful.
Yes.
Yeah, amen. Lindsay, you're wonderful.
So,
But time will tell.
wonderful. Perfect.
Oh, thank you, Lindsay.
So, nowhere do they say about the potential harms. Maybe we should talk a little bit about that first.
Ultrasound. How's an ultrasound hurt you?
How does that hurt you? So what they're doing in the actual screening tests, as you go in there, they're not going to, quote unquote, hurt you. An ultrasound is non-invasive. You get a little jelly on you. It goes around, unless you have an allergic reaction to the jelly.
It's pretty inert stuff. So,
but and then you have blood pressures. It's squeezing on your arm, squeezing on your leg. That's not going to hurt you. You get an EKG. You get little sticky things all over you. That's not going to hurt you. So what are the possible harms of this? It's not from that screening. It's from the follow-up needed from a positive test. That's where the harms may come in. So at my age, if you look into getting this done, these tests, the likelihood of having a false positive is actually going to be more likely than actually finding a positive result from these.
So when they get all their positives and they line them up, more of them are false positives than real positives?
In a person in my age group, for these tests.
I found that the key word, doing my research, that the key word was asymptomatic.
Yes, that is a key word there too. So asymptomatic screening is actually recommended against. If you go to the AAFP, the American Academy of Family Physicians, they have a Choosing Wisely campaign where they have put forth recommendations of things you should not screen for or things you should follow based on the data out there. And 3 of these 5 tests are in that category.
That'd be a good link for our viewers.
It actually, if you go over to the Dr. Green Knight blog, it's in there.
So they'd have to
look for that 15
follow the link
blind.
below to Dr. Green Knight, and then there they'll find the link.
Yeah, then you can find the link. It's in there.
Okay.
I put it in there.
It's a trail we left for you.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah. More website traffic.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. It's all part of
More
our
clicks.
So in asymptomatic, and that's not even just age. That's just asymptomatic individuals all throughout. Now, AAA screening is a little different. That's that
can I say more about the...
Oh, yeah. We can talk more
you're
about
starting on that, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about
so
carotids.
carotid arteries, put the ultrasound there, look for blockage. On a person who doesn't have symptoms, the studies show that you're not going to save anybody anything. And here's I shouldn't say that. There's potentially that you would find somebody that you could help because we'd see a dangerous blockage and fix it, and they wouldn't have bad effects from how we fix it. Now, how do you fix if there's blockage of the carotid arteries? 3 ways. 3 ways you can do something. One way you can do nothing. But the 3 ways to do something are medication, like medicines like amlodipine, which means something to somebody in the studio, so that's why I said that one. But other medicines too. But medicines. Another one would be to do an open carotid endarterectomy, where they cut open the carotid artery.
It's a vascular surgery.
Okay.
Those are major surgeries.
So there's like
Mississippi.
You're from Mississippi too.
Mississippi. We're talking a 2 to 4% death rate from that procedure in, is it 30 days or 6 months of the procedure for all comers. If you did 100 people, count on 2 to 4 of them dying.
Whoa.
So that's
significant.
That's not a minor thing to walk into. And then the other one is stenting. The stenting's much safer. They just go in through the artery in the groin usually, fish up through the aorta that hopefully isn't aneurysed, and we'll say dilated, how's that? and get it into place in the carotid artery. It's amazing how they can
It is, yeah.
push these wires through and make them go to different vessels inside your body. Anyway, so there's these different techniques that they can do. The open one is a little scary,
Right.
although they...
Look at the light. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Back.
Disaster avoided. Sorry to put you through that. We'll have to edit that out. So why would they do these procedures? Well, they want to keep somebody from having a stroke that could potentially be deadly or leave them paralyzed. So we're weighing, okay, what are the chances that a person who has such and such symptoms or other risk factors, their age or their cholesterol level or their blood pressure, family history, these are all things that we consider when deciding who should we operate on, who should we not. Well, it turns out that if you do it on people who have never had any kind of symptoms suggestive of a stroke coming, we just can't get ahead on that. your chance of hurting the person is as good as helping them. Or actually, I guess because of the way the recommendation came out from the USPSTF, you're actually more likely to harm the person than to help them.
Do it. That is a
if they didn't have symptoms going into it.
recommendation.
So this test that Lifeline is putting out, that they're giving to people who may not have any symptoms, and if they have symptoms, they really shouldn't be getting it through some party like that. They should be getting it through a doctor.
Yeah, primary care physician. Yeah.
So that means if we take out those people who should be getting it through the emergency department or their doctor, and it's all people who don't have symptoms yet, you're more likely to be harmed by getting this test than helped.
So that's one of the 5 tests.
That's just one of the 5 tests. I'm sorry, go on.
So your ears perked up when I said a DEXA scan of the shin bone.
Yeah,
tell me why that's an issue.
Well, why are we doing it on a shin bone? What studies are there that show that
There are none. That's not why we do DEXA scans.
Why are you doing shin bones?
It's ridiculous.
All right. How many osteoporotic fractures, meaning a broken bone that somebody has because their bone mineral density got so thin that it breaks just from walking on it, from their carrying their own weight. How many of those are shin bones?
Right, yeah. It's a fall on a hip or a compression fracture in the back. So
yes.
And also, that is another one in the recommendations that say you should only recommend people who are high risk, who have a certain history, or 65 women age 65 and older, and certain men age 70 and older. So it's not everyone again. Yeah. Even if you're 50 and older, they're demographic or targeted demographic.
So screening for that, actually any adult who has a fracture, almost any fracture in an adult, should be checked, but not with that test.
Yeah, that's not the way to do it.
We have another way of checking.
Yeah.
Mr. Ed.
Well, let's talk to Robert Antonio.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Hey, doctors, I tend to agree with you on this, but playing the devil's advocate,
Please do.
If this live scan stuff had a positive of any kind, wouldn't you follow up with a physician or for determination? Okay.
Okay. All
Absolutely.
Right. Yes.
You're right.
We're going to get to that. Thank you. Do you want to do that now or do that later?
Well, ask the question. We might as well answer it now, I guess.
All right.
So, yeah. Thanks for asking questions.
Do you want to or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the absolutely.
We get these.
Yes, absolutely.
We get people bringing in these papers.
You want the doctor to address what's going on it, which is what brings us to.
And that's the problem. That we should address these things that are positives.
Yes. So everything I just told you, I hope everybody can see. You do not want to, without symptoms, just walk in and get a scan of your carotid arteries because it cannot lead to something that is beneficial to you and can actually lead to harm.
Yeah.
So you need to go to your doctor who has this and knows that's not something to screen for in people who don't have symptoms. And of the other tests, know which ones should be used and would be helpful and where you're likely to find something that you can help a patient with rather than just cause more questions and potentially harm with. So yes, we want people to go to their doctor. Thank you, Robert. I'm sorry, I always want to call Robert Antonio Roberto. Thank you, Robert Antonio.
So we do have people with these tests come into our office, and sometimes they do have positives. And the problem is, if there's a positive, you need to work that up. You can't just let it hang out there and do nothing.
Yeah.
And in what we're talking about, that whole process of working it up should never have been done in the first place, because you're often in asymptomatic individuals putting a person at risk of problems of getting things done rather than not even
like
knowing.
Biopsies that don't need to be done, or scans with
invasive
radiation they
procedures.
Didn't need to have.
Yeah.
Financial expense.
Yeah. Not to talk about
for them and for all of us
the
who
cost of following
also
up on
paying
these
the
things.
insurance premiums.
Yeah. America is we spend how much more per person than other Western countries?
We've made it past the point where it actually helps more.
Yeah. So anyways, great question. Yes, we need to follow up on it, but we are trying to head you off at the pass before you get these done, because it should never be done in the first place.
Yes, and the ones that should, that's what we go over at our
we'll do that.
Visit.
You come into my office and you are a 70-year-old smoker, I'm going to get a AAA screening on you.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, because you're at higher risk of having a abdominal aortic aneurysm, and it is recommended.
Yes.
Now, where do those well, let's finish up with these 5 things, and then we can talk about where those recommendations come from.
Sounds good.
So we talked about the carotid endarterectomies. We talked about osteoporosis screening. What were the other ones? ABI screening, which is blood pressure, looking for vascular disease.
Well, it's good to get their blood pressure checked.
It's good to get a blood pressure,
want
and
to
that is
know.
recommended.
Go to your doctor if the blood pressure is found to be high, so that we can follow up on that.
Yeah, and actually you should be doing your annual checkups, or at least seeing your doctor if you're really young every few years to get your blood pressure checked, because we want to know, especially if you have risk factors like being overweight, or you're a smoker, or you have a strong family history. So if you have any of those risk factors, again, we're doing things based on risk, not just every asymptomatic individual out there. We're treating or screening based on risk.
Customized to you.
Look at that. Customized medicine. Wow.
That's right.
That makes it sound
Personalized.
like
Looking at the
21st
patient.
century or something.
Yeah, these are all words I see in marketing things for
like
non-medicine things.
We're doing the same thing. What do you know?
Yeah.
What were the other two?
So you did ABIs.
ABIs. EKG.
Okay, which can be done by your watch now.
Yeah, that's right. If you have a smartwatch, you can often do an EKG. However, screening for EKGs in asymptomatic individuals is not recommended either.
Right.
So if you come in and you're feeling funny, you have chest pain, you have lightheadedness, you have high blood pressure, we want to get an EKG. We want to know why that's going on. But if you're just going about your life doing normal things without any problems, an EKG is not going to be that helpful. Yep. And then what was the last one? What did we miss there? AAA screening. We did AAA. I think that. Did we get them all? Anyways,
what is AAA? AAA.
Okay. Abdominal aortic aneurysm.
Okay.
So as the blood vessel from the heart, the aorta, comes out with all the blood that the heart is pumping to all the body, you have a couple branches that go off to the upper extremities and the head, and then it goes down and almost immediately turns into the abdominal aorta, from which everything else branches off that's left in the lower half of the body.
Yep.
And so
they
have ways of getting bigger on men ages 65 to 75 who have ever smoked.
Yep. Yeah. Teresa, she actually commented on my blog saying that I think it was her husband was at higher risk of a AAA. I don't think he was a smoker, but he had a first degree relative who had a AAA, and so he got screened and had it, and his other brother had it. So again, based on risk, that is where we're doing our screening. So if there is a first degree relative of certain things, that definitely increases my likelihood to order certain tests.
Absolutely. Okay, so we went through the Lifeline.
Is Super Chat not working?
So then Teresa's saying,
What?
if someone has a AAA, you should check all the siblings?
Yeah, that was the comment I just talked about. That, her I think it was her husband.
Yeah. Sorry about the AAA. We'll do it, or the Super Chat. We'll get it in the next show.
Yeah. Let's talk about the USPSTF. What is that?
United States Preventive Forces Task Force, which
Close
is
enough. United States Preventive Services Task Force.
What did I say? Preventive Forces?
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Task Services?
Task something.
Okay, anyway, that's a body by the NIH that looks over all of the studies that look at tests and trying to detect something early, trying to save us from something before it's a problem, or to make it less of a problem, or not even at all. And they look at those tests that are done to see, okay, what can we realistically screen for, and at what interval should we check such and such test on everybody over a certain age every year, every 5 years? And so they come up with lots of recommendations over the whole span of a lifetime. Of course, most of them are going to be kind of the Medicare age, just because of
more things
when things
as
add
you
up.
get older.
Yeah.
And actually,
online.
Yeah. Before, let's take 2 steps back and talk a little bit about tests. There is no perfect test out there. Every test has what's called a sensitivity and a specificity. And I don't want to get into details here, but there's going to be a certain percentage of false positives and a certain percentage of false negatives. And that needs to be taken into account when making these recommendations. And then we need to know the progression of the disease and how often you need to do it. So there's a lot of things that go into it. And if you look at these recommendations, they're given a grade, A, B, C, or D. And A are like, we're positive you should be doing this. This is something you should be like. That was like
strong evidence.
That's like
favor.
Blood pressure. Getting your blood pressure checked. I think mammograms in certain ages are in that at certain intervals.
At certain intervals, yes.
Are in that
every year for
not
everybody.
every year. So there are some that are A, some that are B that say, we recommend you do this, but it just doesn't hit that standard for A. And then C is, we just don't have the evidence. D is, don't do it. Don't do it.
And
So you can actually look it up. There's another link at the on my blog of where you can go and put in all your information.
Yeah.
I think it asks for your age, your sex, your height and weight to get a BMI, whether you smoke. I think that's everything it asks.
Is that everything? It doesn't care about ethnic origins at all?
No, it does not ask
All
for
right.
it at all. So you can go check yourself out. See what you do for.
And the whole thing about ethnic origins, I'll just throw in here, the more we look into people's genetics, we find there's more mixture than we really gave credit for
Right. So there really aren't
decades
many
ago. So
screening recommendations for certain ethnic groups versus others.
Here's a question from Deborah
very few.
Walker. I was having some pain in my lower right abdominal. Ultrasound came up negative. Show my OBGYN. Did a vaginal ultrasound schedule for me for surgery the next day. I had ovarian cancer.
That's
I'm sorry.
I'm
Ovarian
sorry
cancer,
they found that, but that is one of those
that's one of those we talk a lot about with, can you screen for it?
Yeah. Because you're usually asymptomatic until late. I mean, you had that right lower abdominal pain. That's why you got the test done.
So maybe we should just throw out a few different types of cancers that we would kind of lump together with that. Pancreatic
cancer, we don't have a good
ovarian
screening test
cancer,
for. Ovarian cancer.
Those are
Brain cancers.
Yeah, those are among those that, hey, get such and such tests or whole body CAT scans so I know I don't have that. Why don't we do that?
So there is this thing that comes up on whole body scans that are called incidental findings.
Incidental omas.
Incidental omas that are quote unquote abnormalities that are incidentally found and probably mean nothing.
So when we say abnormal, we just mean it's not the perfect textbook. If
Yeah.
we're talking about imaging, not the perfect textbook picture. It's a little off from what the average appearance or the plain appearance is.
And usually those lead into a workup that sometimes is never ending, to be truthful.
Yeah.
Like a CT scan. This happens sometimes when we're looking for something else. I'm looking for, let's say, kidney stone in somebody, and I do a CT scan, and something shows up on their adrenal gland. That's the common one.
Yeah.
There's a little spot on their adrenal gland, and then we got to look that up. Then we get an ultrasound. Then they say, oh, shoot, you got to get an MRI. You get the MRI. That MRI is questionable. You got to repeat it in 6 months. You got to repeat it in 6 months, then you need to do another scan. Then eventually you go to a biopsy, and everything comes back normal. You did all that workup for something that was incidentally found on a CT scan.
And that's pricey to somebody.
Oh, terribly. Yes.
Somebody's got to pay for it, right?
To all of us that pay
For
premiums.
Medicare, this is mostly Medicare people, so that comes back
Everybody
to
pays taxes.
taxes.
Yeah. So there's reasons not to go looking in the first place. And this is such a part of our day-to-day work that it really needs to be under control, and we need to only use the tests when they're expected to benefit the patient, not just because we have it and we can.
Right.
No.
So when
no.
you come into our office and I say, here's what you're due for, and you say, oh, okay, shouldn't I also be getting this, this, and this?
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it, and most likely I'm going to say, no, that's not needed unless we have a good risk that we're screening for.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for me to say, we like to talk to you about symptoms and signs, things that you see or hear or feel. Feel would be more symptoms. We like to talk in terms of that when you come in to see the doctor to find out what we need to do to help you. It's not as productive for the patient to come in and request a test because that's really not the way it works. We're the ones with the license, not the patient. And so we are responsible for determining whether that test even works for what they're trying to find. We don't know if you don't tell us what we're trying to find or what we're testing for, what we're looking at, what question we're trying to answer.
Agreed.
Okay, so we covered all the things on the Lifeline. We talked a little bit about cancer screening.
Yep.
Yeah, the pancreatic cancer one is one that comes up quite a bit because it's so awful. It goes so fast. And people that have a family member who's found to have pancreatic cancer, they want to do whatever they can to not go through that.
Yeah.
How do I find out that I don't have pancreatic cancer? Well, one of the key things about it is it happens so fast.
Yeah.
So even if we had a good test for discovering it, we would have to be doing it on a quarterly or at most every 6 months basis over and over and over and over to not miss it. It's that fast. It's,
right.
So the imaging test is just not a good option for that. Yep. Plus the radiation, if you're doing CAT scans, it doesn't take long at that rate for you to be as likely to get a cancer from the CAT scans as to, or more likely than to have a pancreatic cancer, actually. If you were to start, say, at age 40 and do it on a quarterly or every half-year basis, you would be more likely to be hurt by a cancer from the testing than from the disease we're trying to find.
The other thing about cancers is, people say, can you just screen me for cancer?
Okay, let's talk about that.
Cancer is a big word.
Unfortunately,
with
it's
many,
one
many
word.
different nuances, and different cancers are they show themselves in many different ways.
They are different processes. They are different diseases. They are different mutations.
Skin cancer.
Well, even skin cancer is 3 different skin cancers.
Even that. Well, yeah.
At least 3 different.
So,
and they're all unique.
People say, screen me for cancer. Well,
which one?
So when we come to screening for cancer, if we look at statistics, the most common cancer, both males and females, is colon cancer. So we screen for that one. We screen for colon cancer. And then what is the second, what is the most common in women? Breast cancer. We screen for that one. What is the most common in men? Prostate cancer. That one gets a little iffy there on screening for it because there are some nuances. Yeah. In smokers, what's the most common cancer in smokers? Lung cancer. So in people who have smoked, we do screen for lung cancer with low-dose doing CT scans.
Annual CAT scans now. Yeah. Because finally we have a place where we can do a lower radiation dose scan. We have a period for doing it annually. Mm-hmm. And it's good enough that even though there's a lot of false positives on those, it's still worth it in people who have smoked a certain amount and have quit smoking relatively recently. For those people, and what it really comes down to is, just don't smoke in the first place, or if you do smoke, quit.
This is probably good.
I mean, it really
good recommendation.
Really brings it home when I'm writing those orders
for
people who either just quit smoking with the last 15 years or are still smoking. It is just so clear. The thing to do is
just stop. If you're a smoker,
we'll screen you, but stop. Just stop.
I know that is much easier said than done.
Yeah.
Work with your doctor. There are options.
And stop thinking
that
just tobacco smoke leads to cancer. Mm-hmm. Please stop thinking that.
Yeah. Anyways,
okay. So that's general cancer. That's the what's it called? The Priceline? No,
Lifeline?
Lifeline, not Priceline. Lifeline. What's the other thing we were going to talk about? Cancer screening.
What else do we need to talk about?
I think that's about it. Yeah, cardiovascular disease. We got that down with the elements of the Lifeline that we do in the office.
Yep.
Or refer out for depending on risk factors and the cancers. That's mainly what we wanted to cover.
Right. There you go.
There you go. Thank you for participating in the show. And those of you who want to can get on Patreon, as you can see right down there.
Or there.
I almost caught it. And you can be a part of it and have your name show up right over here very shortly. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. Over at drgreenknight.com, I do have Patreon, and Teresia Rowatt is a supporter there. I appreciate it.
And thank you to Lindsay Antwine, and of course all the people whose names are going to be over here very shortly. Until next time, Dr. Gwen Vaughn.
That's me.
Dr. Mark Vaughn telling you to stay in good health.
Doctors, thank you for another informative session. Auburn Medical Group is located in Auburn, California, USA. Thank you for participating. Please tell a friend and join us again next week.